All right, y'all. Welcome back into the Bearded Bros podcast, or Bearded Bros Golf Show, I should say. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Some weather up here in North Texas, so if I get swept away by a tornado while this broadcast is going on, you know what happened. So we'll be under a tornado watch for the next hour or so. Another big week in golf, or really it's just a lead up into the Masters week. A lot of excitement around this coming up week. A lot of chat and discussion with the Valero Texas Open happening this weekend. No surprise entries. Nobody that would have made it into or wasn't in the tournament that made it in. Ricky Fowler just couldn't get over the hump. I was hoping to see Patrick Rogers get his first win on tour. I've really liked his game for a long time. I just hate seeing him struggle in the final rounds, going into his fourth tournament with a 54-hole lead, not being able to pull it through. But
Mm.
Corey Connors winning the Valero for the second time in his career. So let's just jump into it. Did you watch any of the Valero this weekend? I know you had a busy one going on this weekend.
I
Thoughts
watched a.
on Corey Connors
Mhm.
um, winning today?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it, but mostly like the first couple of rounds and everything like that. Um, Corey Corey Connors came out, shot a 64 first round, then got caught by the field, and then kind of like lit a fire in the weekend. So it was good to see him come back and look good, but I too wanted to see Patrick Rogers finally close it out, but bro went even on the weekend, and was just too stagnant. Couldn't really make a move, to really distance himself from the field or make a clutch play. So unfortunate to see him go down in that manner, but very very good to see Corey Connors taking good form going into the Masters again. So hopefully he can make a good showing, but he's not my front runner to for the Masters or anything like that. But good on him, and he did what he was supposed to do this final day and made a move.
No. Yep. Women Augusta National Women's Am closing out there on Saturday with Rose Zhang pulling it out from Stanford in the playoff. She went into the final round with a four-shot lead. Wasn't able to pull it out. I do want to play some clips and just kind of take a different angle at this. I was talking to my guys this weekend about ticket prices for the Masters single round. Close to 2,000. Full weekend like $7,600. So crazy prices. And so you can. I'm going to show a couple of clips of the crowd here at the Women's Am event. So they were packing it in. And in my brain, I try on the grounds and see Augusta as a easier barrier to entry versus going to the full tournament. I'm in the lottery every single year and have not been able to win that. So maybe the AM is a way to possibly get out there at a cheaper price and still see the property and all the hills and dimensions that we can't really see on TV. But you can see they were thick out there this weekend.
Definitely.
So tell me what your thoughts are on possibly getting out to Augusta in that way.
Uh, by any means necessary when it comes to Augusta. Sign me up to be a side caddy, whatever you need me to do. I'll hold the score bearer. I mean, you name it, I'll do it, brother. Please let me in. I need it.
Yeah,
Any kind of way, really.
I would love to.
Uh,
Yeah, love to get out there.
Definitely.
So did you? I didn't get to see any of the drive, chip, and putt today at all. I just did not get a chance to see them. But you always love to see the kids out in that venue, winning with their parents, competing at the game. I've not really. I've watched it a couple of years, but never really dug too deep into it. Have you
Mhm.
involved yourself with the drive, chip, and putt, or is it kind of just something that you catch the highlights of and that's it?
We had it on in the shop this morning, but like I was telling you pre-show, like we didn't really get a chance to really look up and see much of the live action, but we saw the highlights, and I think it's a good way to get kids into the game. Of course, any kind of way to get people to go to Augusta is always great. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just for me, it's a warm up to get into the Masters. It's like the women's amateur is like the Kickstarter, and then the drive, chip, and putt is like kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like, ooh, tomorrow, like we get live at the Masters for 3 straight days. We get the par three, then it's right then and there. So to me, it's really just a warm up to get to the Masters, but I think I will start trying to, get more into that type of deal because I mean it's another competition, and seeing kids compete and showing emotions and things like that is always fun, and seeing them fist pump and show emotion like that, and getting hugged up by their parents. It's always fun. It's always warm. So definitely good scenes this morning.
Yeah. And I want to double back to Rose Zhang winning. She looks like a potential high level pro in a couple of years, and seeing her kind of take the path that others have taken her
Agreed.
before. I know this is a newer event. I have to believe this is year 4 for that event, but she looks like a pro. I mean, just the way she carries herself. I know her dad was caddying for her this weekend, but when she gets on tour, has somebody that's their full time job. I actually cannot wait to see her kind of take off and perform on higher levels of golf. I think she's got the look, the pedigree, to just kind of weather the storm. You could even see, like, again, she gave away 4 stroke lead, had some tough holes coming down the stretch, went into a
Yep.
playoff, and just her, you know, performing. Have you? This is my first time seeing her and paying attention to her. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on her? Did you get a chance to catch any of the coverage and thoughts on her and her future?
I didn't get to see much of the women's amateur. I saw the first 2 rounds where they play at the off-field event before they went to Augusta on the final round. But I've seen Rose Zhang compete in the U.S. amateur and all the amateur events leading up to it, and then of course in her college career and stuff. She's been like a solidified number one amateur for maybe 3 consecutive years or something like that now. Like she is for sure the one, and she is very serious. I think I saw earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, Roger Steele did, doing his real talk thing with Callaway, had her on the range, and he was like, I need to know when you turn in pro. And she was like, well, probably sooner rather than later. So hopefully we get to see her dabble into some pro events and make some real money, especially with her Stanford career pretty much dwindling down. Probably like a year or so left. If she, I mean, I think she's maybe a junior or she might be a senior now already. I don't know. She's been on the amateur scene
No,
for
she's
quite some
actually.
time.
Yeah, I think that's why she. I think she looks so polished. She's still a sophomore currently, so she's wrapping up her
Wow,
sophomore year. And I think, like you said, she's been on the scene for a long time, and that's to me why she probably looks a lot more polished than a lot of her competitors, or just has really played a lot of golf in her years. That she looks
definitely.
again older than most at that age.
Yeah,
So let's
for
jump
sure.
into our Masters kind of preview. Um, the Live guys are going to be in it this year. There's a lot of talk about tension between PGA and Live. I truly think that comes down to the individual. There's going to be people that are totally fine and cool. We've talked about how laid back DJ is with a lot of the other tour pros, not a lot of friction with him. But I can see someone like Phil having some uncomfortable moments. And, there were
Definitely.
Liv has taken up a lot of the jerks that the PGA Tour had. Patrick Reed, Bryson DeChambeau, people that already had friction. So to me, it's not. it's no longer about okay, you've left and there's tension about you leaving. I think we've kind of waded through those waters. I think the tension will be more so on that just people don't like the folks that are coming back. They haven't had to
Right.
deal with them on tour for the better part of a year for the most, for most of them. So again, we'll see what comes of that. I don't think there's much to be had there in terms of tension. What are your thoughts on that specific thing?
I mean, I think the best thing to do is to kind of, I guess, really the best way to put it is to just literally extinguish that fire. I mean, if you keep beating the dead horse, I mean, or the dead drum, or however the phrase may go, I just feel like the more we talk about it, the more you give them attention and stuff like that. Like, they're pretty much, unless they start getting world ranking points for all these events, they're going to be out of the next Masters besides the previous champions. So I mean, Phil's almost retired. Patrick Reed's gonna always be a dickhead. I mean, Cam Smith, he won or whatever. So, or did he? Charles Schwartzel, like those guys. Like, I mean, Charles Schwartzel ended his career too. I'm not really worried about it, the tension or not. And I really think it's what you said. They're already creating these incendiary moments. They don't need the tour to do that stupid shit. Anyways, go ahead, Rob.
So tell me what you. It's funny you brought up Charles Schwartzel. So I found this fact out earlier today, just kind of reading up. How old do you think he is?
You know that's the thing. He's probably only like in his mid 40s or something like that, if that.
He's not even 40, man. He's not even 40 yet. Or he's right about 40. So you think about how early he won that Masters in his career. That
Right.
I don't know. He was just off the map shortly thereafter in terms of wins, and he didn't capitalize and go on to bigger and better things after his Masters win. So I also kind of again just raised an eyebrow when I saw that. So let's talk about who we think has the best chance. So I found a Golf Digest article that really was ranking past champions where they fell in the order. Don't really have a chance. A lot of those guys are getting up there in age. Some people have, kind of finally bowed out. So we have, of course, in the older group, Bernard Langer. You have Fred Couples. A couple of other, not Angel Cabrera, but Olathable will be playing.
Oh, right.
Those guys really don't have a chance to win this at all. So then you go
Right.
down to the AMs, and AMs have not won or made the cut in the last 2 years. So I think that probably speaks to the high level of competition and parity that we're seeing on tour. That the highest levels, AMs aren't really even having a shot to come in and make the cut at the Masters. Excuse me. That also brings up a sidebar topic that I want to come back to, and then you start getting into your lower tiers, people that are going to show up, make the cut, compete, but really don't have a chance to win. They had notables kind of uh, Tiger Woods at 20, and then they had kind of Will Zalatoris, who unfortunately, due to injury, hasn't really returned to form that we saw out of him early in the 2022 season.
Yeah.
But let's touch on the amateurs before we get into the top 10 of how Golf Digest ranked them. So in terms of amateurs, we saw the women's have their own kind of final round at the Masters. There's 8 amateurs in the field this week. What do you think about them competing in their own tournament versus joining the pros on the big stage? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, that's an interesting point. I think I don't know. I kind of think that the step between women's amateur golf, top amateur golf, and pro women's golf is a little bit closer than the step between men's and boys amateur golf compared to men's professional golf. So I feel like amateur men, like men's amateur golf, needs to go through the proper channels. I feel like they do need to go to college. They do need to see the Corn Ferry. Very few of them just come out immediately are stars, immediately are athletically, powerful enough or athletically talented enough or skilled enough. I mean, we saw like the last couple of like top amateurs like Cole Hammer, Bo Hostler. They really tried to make a push into that, but once you saw them, for who they were, they still had to go through the proper channels, and they're not exceeding like we thought they were going to do. So I think the gap is a little bit bigger. So I feel like they just should make a couple of amateur appearances along the Masters, and I don't think the men need another like standalone event for their amateur event. I feel like they already have a lot going for them. And I feel like this might be one of the things that women should just have like as their own kind of deal and let them be spotlighted in that moment.
Okay, that's fair. I actually don't disagree with that. You made some really good points there in terms of them having their own kind of stage to stand on, and that I agree. There are a lot more notable steps for the men that keep them over here, and they're able to develop as long as they go. So, yeah, if you can get make it in the 8 spots or however many get to qualify for the Masters, then kudos for you. So let's get into this list. I've put together a little montage of the Golf Digest list. So at 10, they have Cam Young, which he competed last week in the WGC match play. Patrick Cantlay at number 9. We have Morikawa at 8. Ball striking coming back around. Cam Smith, who's not that far removed from the PGA Tour. We have Justin Thomas at 6. I'll pause right here. So far in the list, do you disagree with any of these entries into their list in terms of the best odds to win based on recent play and just kind of their performance in the Masters so far and kind of past history?
Well, just off of how they hit the ball, Colin Morikawa, I would not have him in the conversation. He's predominantly a fader of the ball. I mean, we've already seen it. If you can't draw the ball at Augusta, you're pretty much SOL. You know, DJ got away with it because he's 6'3", powerful, can literally bomb it over the trees. I don't think Colin Morikawa has that same ability. So I would say him more than anybody is kind of like out of that. But, Cam Smith, I still like, despite the hate that I have for the LIV players, Cam Smith still does provide game. And he even kind of tried to defend LIV. And I thought it was honorable. He was like, the whole deal with he doesn't think that, or he's mad that we don't think that they're playing real golf over there because they're playing 3-round events and 54 holes and stuff like that, which to a point they aren't playing real golf. But, he is still,
Yeah.
in the high up in the official golf ranking. So, he is still hooping. So I don't hold that against him, respect to him. But yeah, it's pretty spot on. I would say Cam Young could probably be a little bit higher. I
Yeah.
think with Paul Tesori now as his caddy, definitely big jump for him mentally, strategy wise. So I think that's going to be a good piece for him, and I think he could easily slide into like, honestly, he should be a 6. JT should be like a 7, and then I guess everybody else could just move up after that. But yeah, other than that, besides those 2 points, I would say
Yeah.
that it was pretty spot on.
All right, let's finish the rest of this list down. We have a comment that came in. So, Fancy Train, we're going to be discussing Brooks here in just a second. So, hang tight. Let's bring this back up. So then they have Xander Schauffele at 5. John Rahm, gonna have your expecteds here at the very top.
Yep.
Rory at 3. Defending champ, Mr. Scheffler at 2. And Jordan Spieth at 1. I was surprised by this pick, and he's not necessarily been playing badly, but I was surprised by Jordan Spieth at 1. Scheffler, I'm looking forward to seeing him trying to get that draw in with those wild hands on the finish as he did last year to kind of shape the ball. That he's usually a fader of the ball as well, but he was able to get it worked out last year. Any surprises for you outside of again, Jordan Spieth was my surprise at number one. What do you think about them finishing off with Schauffele, Rahm, McIlroy, and then Scheffler and Spieth?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a good little list. I would say, just like you said, not so much Jordan Spieth number one. Scotty's got to be number one for me. Then honestly, just off pure talent, I would say John Rahm two, Rory three still, and then Jordan Spieth in a four. Xander Schauffele, you just never know. You just never know. I mean, that guy, I don't know what it is about him. It's just he's just you can gravitate to that. Like he has a magnetizing presence. I definitely always am fighting for Xander Schauffele for some strange reason. I cannot put my finger on it, Rob. I cannot. Love that guy though.
I like him. I think he's got a solid game. I love all the mechanics of his swing. I
Yeah,
love seeing him strike the golf ball. I don't know what it is. Just down the stretch, he's not able to score, especially on the big stage so far. So I agree.
true.
I'm rooting for him. Seems like a really good dude. So we'll see how things pan out. I'm just excited, honestly, just to see our first major of the year, see how it pans out.
Facts.
Again, with the 18 live guys in the mix. So while we were chatting, we had a comment that I'm going to bring up here on the screen saying Brooks looks good today. Will it prep for the Masters? So he did win out on the LIV Tour. He looked pretty good all week. Made comments after the fact saying he's as healthy as he could be. So just a little bit of backstory and something that's been on my mind since the Netflix series Full Swing came out. There was an episode that really focused on Brooks and him being injured and kind of his path to defecting over to the LIV Tour. And I think that honestly has motivated him. I think with Brooks, the game is so ego driven. When he would show up and be at the top of leaderboards for
Right.
Masters, won those three majors in a short order, he gears up for this. And I think the competitor in him has really started to come back up. The mentions, which he still hasn't knocked down about him considering returning to the PGA Tour. He did look good. I caught a little bit of the live coverage, particularly on Friday as I was just kind of sitting around. I was able to catch some of the coverage. Again, this was on a course that we don't know. I think it was Orange National. It's just not a course that you're familiar with, but he looked like he had the game. And I've always been a fan of Brooks, whether it's just because he's
Yep.
a Nike guy. I've always liked his approach to and kind of think that and we talked about Cam because he's newer to the LIV Tour. How do you think Brooks will translate, and do you see this as a something that can get him in contention, seeing how his game is coming back around and he looks healthy?
Yeah, it's and just like what you said, it's funny that Brooks' name came up because ever since Full Swing came out, like he played at the heartstrings a little bit. I can't compete with these guys, and what am I supposed to do? And then he had his fiance on there, kind of defending him, like he's just a big ego guy. He's had the confidence forever, like he doesn't know what to do when he's losing. So I mean, I get it. You kind of feel lost at sea or whatever, and hopefully he gets back healthy. But I know one thing's for sure: if he goes back to the PGA, I definitely would like him a lot more than him over there with them boys over there. So, uh, I mean, good
Well, I
luck
think
to
that's such a
him.
long shot. Yeah,
Right,
I
the
know.
money's
I know.
good over
We
there.
it is too good, and I think the penalties for them coming back from some of these contracts have had the details released through court filings and other things. Some of them have
Right,
not, so we don't know all the particulars. But some have been noted as if they leave the tour prior to the end of their contract, that they are due 3 times or 2 times what they were paid on their sign-on bonus or that early payment. So I don't know what his final number was, but let's just say it was 50 mil on the low end, right? Because I know there's
Yeah.
100 meals out there, 150 meals, but let's say it's 50. If he had to pay back 150 mil, that's just not something that's doable versus saying, you know what, I'm just going to have to wait it out,
Yep.
play the majors that I can based on his, previous champion status, which I think lasts for 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, outside of the tournament that you won directly. So yeah, that's a steep penalty, whether it's 100 mil, 150
Yeah.
mil. When you start talking about, 3 digit, 100 something mil, that's a lot to pay back just to have
Right.
freedom versus just kind of waiting it out for a few years until your
Yeah.
contract's up. But
Agreed.
yeah, I mean, we all have that kind of, if you've watched us for a little bit or watched any of my previous videos, Live, I'm not a fan of. I don't love the business model. I think they're going against everything that they've said they were doing to do. Initially, it was about freedom, and then they've turned into employees from a player's perspective. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Brooks perform. I like seeing him play good golf. I love seeing athletes get into the heads of their competitors while they're out there, and he brings that to the table. I always laugh hearing about him wearing large shirts with medium sleeves. So
Yeah.
something that always sticks in my brain. Cool beans. So outside of kind of the Masters and do you have any other thoughts about the tournament this week?
um, don't win the par three contest. Historically speaking,
It's bad juju.
um,
It's bad
bad
juju.
juju. Yeah. And then really just, I hope the weather's good. I hope there's no like scrums or mix ups or anything like that. Like, I hope it's just 4 days of pure golf and it all gets solved, with like a thrilling round on Sunday. Not necessarily a playoff, but just like, maybe even just on the back nine, but preferably a whole round of like shot making, putts going, 3, 4 guys definitely just, leaving, stretching it out. Maybe even like, because I feel like the 2 horse races beat. I feel like we need to get it up there again where it's like 4 or 5 guys that's all competing instead of just, I don't know, running away with it. That is kind of boring, but
Right.
yeah, I don't really have anything. I'm just
Yeah.
excited
I mean, we saw.
overall for it to be the Masters.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think last year Scheffler pretty much had it in hand coming down the last few holes. So yeah, looking forward to some drama. I think there may be some weather, maybe a little bit of rain in the forecast. We shall see. I mean, you just
Mhm.
never know how that's going to play out. I think this weekend at the Valero they had 4 different days of weather. It was windy, it was foggy, it was rainy. Today was sunny and 80 something. So we'll see what the Georgia weather brings. But the Masters is always a good time. Course is looking pristine as usual. So I'm looking forward to seeing the guys compete and just really performing and that's it. Yeah. So I mean, short show today. We're really just Masters heavy. We'll be back live next week with the results, talking about it possibly a little bit earlier in the day, right at the conclusion of the Masters. Looking forward to that. I do want to salute my brother who is going out for his player ability test tomorrow for his PGA. Kind of first steps in getting his PGA teaching certification. So I am wishing him good luck. I wish you nothing but the best and that you're going to do well and perform, man.
Appreciate you, Rod. Appreciate you as always, big bro, stepping in with the wisdom pre-show. I will be on my high horse in the morning and will do my best and make sure that I bring it home and make the steps necessary so that I can keep going on this career path that I foresee myself going on for the rest of what I see as my life. So I definitely am heavily involved in this and I want to see it through. So I'm gonna try to do my best to do what I can, and hopefully we're talking and having a good message when I see I'm done.
That's right. All right. Thanks for joining us for another week. We'll be back next week to talk about the Masters and the results. It'll be a good time. So, Bearded Bros Golf Show, we're out. Peace.